Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Department Podcast Wrestling Recap version, where Stephen Clark, myself, Justin Valentovic, and Jesse Norman are here to break down this week in wrestling. Before we get into the wacky, wild world of WWE wrestling, fellas, how you doing today?
Good. A little cold, a little windy up here, but warm weather is definitely, it's coming. So spring is definitely getting there, and snow is melting. So I'm very happy. I'm chilling. Nice Sunday. Nice relaxing Sunday.
Nice, good. Jesse, how are you?
Pretty good. I hit on all my bets last night for basketball, and the Nets won yet again. So pretty good. 12-1 in their last 13.
Yeah, we were talking we were talking last night how the Wizards getting not destroyed, but losing kind of helped you.
I'm numb to it.
It
definitely
already?
did help.
Yeah. I don't care about the NBA again.
Wow.
Got me interested with the Westbrook trade. Then it's even worse than John Wall. And then it lost me with the Westbrook trade, basically. So
and now you have the great baseball team in the Baltimore Orioles to root for.
Thank God. They at least give me joy when they lose.
Do they really?
Because at least they have a direction of where they're going. Like, we understand what point in the rebuild we're in. The Wizards have. Yeah, we're just at the part where we're just trying to develop talent now at this point and hope for the reinforcements to come. The Wizards have no idea what
question.
Yes.
Quick question. I'm about to try to cancel my WWE Network subscription because I don't want to be charged. Is it just ending anyway?
Yeah,
because it says my subscription end date is April 1st.
Yeah, it just ends. It just cuts off.
And then
they
just turn it off.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure they're not going to keep charging me.
No, it's just ending. It's just ending. So
yeah.
Okay.
We can start there. I didn't have that in the thing, but WWE is officially going to be on Peacock starting this week. So that's really big for them. No more WWE Network. Since 2014, it's been on the network has been a thing, and it's been honestly a really, really good standalone thing, and it's gone now. It's on Peacock. For the short term, I think this is great investment, but long term, I don't know how this is going to work out.
Well, initially for me and Jesse, it works out well where we save $10 because we're both Comcast subscribers in our household.
Connoisseurs.
So we get the premium
subscribers also works.
The premium package just by having, Comcast cable. So we're saving $10, but it's like this was their way because for a while with Peacock, it was marketed as the Office streaming service. That's basically all they had. It was literally they were describing the packages as The Office commercial free, all seasons of The Office commercial free, So this is their way of actually getting people to buy the service. Simple as that. It really is, because you're still going to be able to go in and under the WWE section and everything's just basically being ported over. And it's just NBC's way of getting people to get Peacock because, they started it.
Well,
and then, CBS dropped, Paramount, which is its own thing. So this is their way of trying to get a leg up on it. Kind of like how Hulu has, live sports, which we get hammered into our heads, during football season, especially.
Which they're about to lose a bunch because Paramount Plus is about to add a bunch onto theirs.
That looks good. That looks really good. Paramount
Plus. I think I'm going to get Paramount Plus.
But that's the thing. Now it's
Paramount Plus give us
streaming
money.
Services are just turning to an arms race, and that's kind of where this went. Was WWE just got money to get everything just dumped over there, and with 2 out of the 3 shows being on NBC Universal properties of the USA Network, it made sense that eventually it would be merged together to some capacity, whether it be carried on both, and then you could have either Peacock or the network. But now we're seeing it where they're just going exclusively straight up on Peacock and killing the standalone app.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, if you look at it for WWE, it's a huge win. They pretty much started the network for the ability to try to sell it eventually, which is what they did. They kept all of their library. They literally just sold Peacock the rights to stream their stuff. So they really only made money out of this deal. Also, WWE the network varied between 1.1 to 1.5 million subscribers. Originally, when the network started, they wanted that number to hit 4 million. It was never going to hit that. Now you look at Peacock with all the numbers that they have, they've already started at 26 million. That is so many more eyes on the product. And then that helps them down the road with TV deals. Because now if you're watching the pay-per-views, there's definitely a chance that the TV ratings are going to go up. So WWE got $1 billion, is making their market bigger, And I mean, that's really the big two.
Hey, you gotta think too. You're gonna have older people, say who watched during like the Attitude Era, who bailed out like if they got older. Say they subscribed to Peacock, and they might be like, oh well, I get it, so I may as well watch it here and there. That's kind of how I
watch something.
That's kind of how I got back into it, where we got like a free, like a 3-month trial of like the network because it was a promotion. So I got back into wrestling then, mid high school at some point.
14 free trials.
Yeah, I mean.
I did. I started making email addresses.
Nice.
Just exclusively for the 1-month trials.
Horses in the back, 555. But no. This is fantastic. Like you said, you guys are the best part is we're all saving money. You guys are getting it basically for free. I get my cost cut in half because Peacock Premium is only like $6, so it's not like the $9.99 plus that they've been doing for a little bit now. So we're all saving money. It's on Peacock. Hopefully all the streaming works well for WrestleMania. We don't have the problems like it was for WrestleMania 30 with all that streaming, because that was the first pay-per-view on the network. But technology has advanced within the last 7 years or so. So I have faith. But
hey, and we're all Office and Parks and Rec and Community, all the NBC comedy. So when they eventually all get ripped off of Netflix, at least we can still watch them. And
I'll probably watch through Parks and Rec over again.
We don't have to begrudgingly go get Peacock exclusively for that crap.
Exactly. We have to do it for wrestling. But let's continue it outside the ring. There's a lot of outside the ring news this week. But one of the main things that broke out were that rumors that Andrade was requesting his release from WWE. He hasn't been used in the last couple months. So a lot of people saw this coming. He's in a relationship with Charlotte, which is a little shocking to see him request his release. But as of late, apparently WWE denied his request. What are we making of this? Is he just going to sit out his contract, or is he gonna just try? Are they gonna try to push him so he stays? What do we think's the outcome, and what do we make of the situation? Honestly,
it's not surprising.
I think this can go numerous different ways. Yeah, it's definitely not. They haven't used him.
Yeah,
quite. Just to be frank about it, they haven't used him. Period. I think this can go a lot of different ways. Obviously, it helps that Charlotte Flair is his fiance, wife. They're married,
I'm
right?
pretty sure fiance.
They're fiance. They're engaged at least. I know they're. Yeah, but so it certainly helps that when it's all said and done, the most decorated woman of all time is your wife in the company, and her father happens to be considered one of the top 5 greatest wrestlers of all time in the company. So I think they'll work things out. If Flair wasn't involved whatsoever, I think this would be exactly like the Revival. I think it could still end up like the Revival, kind of come back on TV. We'll give you a US championship run. We'll give you a couple things here and there. But as of right now, it seems like in the main event scene, they don't think they have room for him, period.
Which is sad because he's such a good talent. But
also I noticed he kind of got shelved creatively once Selena Vega got fired.
Yeah. Oh, there's multiple reports that Vince has said to him, you want to be pushed, learn English.
Yeah. Which is crappy.
Cesaro learned English and it didn't help him at all.
No, but no, he's a great talent. I'd love to see him go back to NXT. It's not going to happen. I always say that for guys that aren't getting used. Aleister Black, a bunch of other guys.
I forgot about Black.
We all have.
Honestly, I would, if he went to Impact.
Ooh.
Oh, that would be good. I think Impact over AEW, because I don't know if AEW would use him necessarily.
Yeah,
right.
They'd continue.
But I think
Christian in the main event scene in AEW.
I think Impact would give him a mouthpiece and would really help him. Yeah, and he could walk into Impact and be like the top guy in that company.
100% be on top. And that's another guy too, where I was watching NXT a couple of years ago, watching Aleister Black. I'm like, there's no way they can mess up this guy. Just the star power he has and everything.
We always do it. We always do that. We're always like, you can't mess this guy up.
And they find a new way.
And they do.
And I'm saying that about Adam Cole right now too.
Legitimately, what WWE NXT guy that is just an NXT guy went up to the main roster and was a significant main eventer consistently.
Like
the biggest example is maybe Owens. Owens is probably the best out of all of them.
You see, just NXT guy is the key word there, because there was a bunch of those FCW guys. There's Rollins, there's Reigns, there's Wyatt.
Yeah, but they already liked those guys. That's the thing. Drew McIntyre was
Doesn't count.
Put into the company as Vince McMahon's chosen one. They strapped rockets to Reigns at FCW. They put Reigns in the Shield when Punk didn't want him in the Shield. When that was Punk's idea. So those guys were picked already. Strictly NXT, like in our era of like, let's say like 2018 on.
The only one I could say
just misses
is it's very early to tell, and it could go very south from here. But so far, they're doing a really good job with Bianca so far, but it's still very early.
Take women out of it. Take women out of it. Take the women out of it, because they've done Charlotte good. They've done Becky good. They've done Bayley, Sasha. They're all fine. The women's division is fine with NXT talent. They're going to do good with Rhea, but the men, the best one is probably Owens.
And then Balor would have been different if he didn't get hurt, but
Owens also had like a year span.
Balor would have been different, but as soon as he got hurt, they didn't use him.
Owens had like a year where they just did nothing with him.
Yep.
And that was Rusev for a while too.
But Shinsuke had a cool run, and then they didn't go anywhere with that.
No, there's literally nobody that they did well.
Look at all the Ricochet. Like people loved Ricochet. That just doesn't even matter.
Let's continue though, because we have a lot to talk about in this episode. The way we're going, we're ready to have to probably take a little break, but we don't know yet. But let's switch brands to AEW really quickly, and they had their Revolution pay-per-view a couple weeks ago, and we didn't get to talk about this last week or anything, but Christian Cage is back in the wrestling business. We saw him return at the Rumble, and he's back in AEW. The same people who were crapping at him being at the Rumble are cheering for him in AEW now. But it's cool. I thought it was a cool signing. It brings some legitimacy, more legitimacy. Not saying they're legit at all.
It's like when he went to TNA. It's cool.
It's
a name.
No, it's different.
It is.
It's different. TNA, he went and he main evented that company. He was TNA until Angle came.
You're right.
He was their top guy.
And if you
in
go
AEW, he's definitely not.
Okay, and if you go to Dynamite this past Wednesday, he looks like he's starting a feud with the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega.
Absolutely, but Kenny's gonna beat him.
Kenny's
gonna beat everybody.
I just don't like him walking into the company, signing a contract, and stepping into a world title picture. I'm all for him being there, elevating the young talent. I'm all for him being there.
You gotta strike when the iron is hot and when the people are watching. If Christian brings in views, you have to put him in the championship picture. He's not gonna win. Kenny is gonna win. I think everybody would agree on that. But I think if you have the option to get Christian Cage as a company, you take it. And I think this is another example of WWE probably just not valuing him the way that he thinks he should be. And I think that's fair. At this point, he is a bona fide legend.
Yeah.
They could have done so much stuff with him and Edge. They could have done all these different things, and they probably just lowballed him again like they did last time, told him he wasn't going to do all those things that they probably had in mind. So he decided to take his ball and go somewhere else. And I think that's good because he had to do it in TNA before.
Yeah. I don't blame him for going. Like I said, it's a great signing. I like the signing. It's just use him as not even how WWE. Just don't praise him too much. Have him in these mid-card roles. Have him do what Sting's doing, tagging with Darby Allin and stuff, and building that next future generation of AEW, and not just having even when on Revolution when Sting got the pin, it was a fantastic match. Don't get me wrong. I love that cinematic match with Sting. I thought that was fantastic. But Sting getting the pin was not the right move in that match. Darby Allin should have 100% gotten the pin in that match. But they just need to. I know WWE does it too. I'm not saying WWE is perfect at all. They have their old guys go over. They have Goldberg in the main event, and I hate that. I hate Goldberg winning the titles and all that stuff. Neither company is perfect. They both do good. They both do bad. But they need to. Both companies need to start building their future talent. Both of them do.
I agree, but I'm gonna give AEW more of a pass because they've only been a company for a year and they have no developmental. They kind of are relying on those names.
But they're
relying on those names to bring in viewers. And they do. I think they're building mid-card guys that can be in the main event in a year or two, but they need that. They still need that time, like Darby Allin. Like they're going to rely on Christian and Sting and Cody and Omega and Moxley and Jericho for that main event for probably the next year or two. And then when we're really going to see what the company is made of is when those guys clearly can't go anymore. And if they keep putting them in that picture, though, it's going to fail like it did with TNA. Whoa. So I think as of right now, I have no problem with it. They don't really have any mid-card guy to step up that I think can go into that role. So at least like Christian's there. He is a legit, world champion. He's been a world champion in WWE and TNA. He is definitely a legitimate competitor. And I think that helps them a good amount. And I much prefer it over like a Goldberg signing.
Oh, trust me, me too. I don't like Goldberg, but we have to, like you said, we have to see in a year or two and see what happens with this company and see how they progress from here on out. It's very early to judge, like you said. I do agree with that. But let's continue it outside the ring. And it was announced on Monday Night Raw that there will be fans at WrestleMania. They're aiming for about like 40 to 45,000 a night.
That's about 75%.
That's a lot.
Raymond James, which put it in perspective, the Super Bowl at the same stadium was 38%.
So it's about the same. It's been a couple months since the Super Bowl. Things are getting better. Vaccines have been more widely available.
Yeah, but it's still in Florida.
So it's Florida. It's Florida. You're right. But I'm happy there's fans there. I really am. I'm obviously not going. I don't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No one gets sick. I really hope no one gets sick. I pray no one gets sick.
No one should be within like 50 feet of the ring.
Yeah, but the thing with WrestleMania too, why they're having more fans in the Super Bowl, because they have all that floor space too.
So that'll help.
Out. So there's nothing really to debate here. I don't think it's just a little bit of news.
It doesn't shock me.
Not a little bit of news, sad news.
They wanted to get attendance from the beginning. Like they were pushing for attendance, when everything was shut
Remember
down.
last year, the rumors like they wanted to hold like an outside one here and there, where some rumors around.
Something like that.
SummerSlam was supposed to be on like the Atlantic City Boardwalk or something.
That would have been insane. We were talking. That's like when we first like started up this podcast around that time too. So yeah, wow, we're coming up on a year pretty soon. Jesus,
a few months.
That's crazy. That's still crazy.
Starting like July, I think, because baseball and everything started coming back.
You're right. A little bit of sad news. Becky Lynch's dad passed away. Just wanted to get that out there. Rest in peace to her. Prayers to her and all her family. And lastly, Asuka was injured on Monday Night Raw, which is a big blow because she is the Raw Women's Champion at the time. And Nia's running buddy, Shayna Baszler, kicked her in the head, which gave her a concussion. Hopefully, I think she should be ready for WrestleMania. She has
I'd assume she'll be back by Mania.
Yeah, concussion should be okay.
Hard to build a feud if I think she'll be able to be on TV. I don't know for sure, but it sucks. It's kind of a blow having your Raw Women's Champion just injured during this time of year, but
they didn't care.
But look who did it too.
It's not Charlotte.
It's hold the whole buddies. It's Nia and Shayna. They're known.
Wait, you're telling me Asuka got hurt in a match that had Nia Jax in it?
I am.
I would never imagine that. I couldn't. Nia is such a safe worker.
So safe.
I couldn't imagine how that happened.
And Justin loves her hole.
Oh.
All right, that does it for outside the ring. A lot of news in the last week and a half or so. We didn't do a podcast last week, but I'm glad we got through all of that, debated a little bit, talked about Andrade and Christian and all that. But let's get into Monday Night Raw. And like I said, again, we didn't have a podcast last week, and Bobby Lashley won the WWE title a couple weeks ago, and now he retained against The Miz. And it's looking like it's going to be Lashley and Drew at Mania. There's no sign of Brock with less than a month to go until WrestleMania.
Fine by me. I like it.
You don't like Brock in general, just for the namesake?
I can go WrestleMania without him.
He just makes the match.
I can go with a Mania without. Yeah, but don't put him in the championship.
That's the thing. Like, because ever since, other than the Dean Ambrose street fight in Dallas, he's been in a title match, I think, every single year that he came back.
Yeah.
And we seen how he acted in that one where the title wasn't on
He just
the
didn't
line.
care.
He did not
He
care.
didn't care. He showed up for that payday and he left.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool for the name just because like he never got like the rematch from Drew and he's like, hey, I still want my title shot or something.
Nah.
I think it'd be cool, but and plus it adds having a triple threat match instead of a one-on-one. It adds to it. Like this match kind of needed.
But they also have Heyman with Roman. And I don't know if they want to do Heyman with Brock. And Brock can't. I'm sorry, Brock can't talk still.
Country boy.
He still can't talk.
The country boy.
He never even tried to get better at promos once they gave him Heyman because he was like, well, if I ever come back, Heyman's coming with me. That was literally just it. So he never got better at any promos. So he can't talk.
Yeah. No, I agree. He can't talk. But like I'm going back to WrestleMania 35 now. That main event should have been Ronda versus Becky. That didn't need a triple threat with Charlotte, and it really didn't.
No, but they weren't. They wanted Charlotte involved in history, so that's why.
Of course, but I feel like this one is kind of lackluster, if you ask me. Just Lashley and McIntyre, two guys who have been underused just for like many years, and are all of a sudden the last about like year and a half now.
Should be on the night in which Belair and Banks main event.
I hope they
main event. 110%.
I hope they main
event. But then
the
problem is going to become that then Raw does not have a main event. I'm perfectly fine with SmackDown main eventing both nights.
Well, that's the thing.
We're all fine with that.
Yeah.
I don't think WWE is okay with that.
Yeah, but then if they have a problem with that, then don't have
one
both
for
winners.
SmackDown, one for Raw.
Then if that's the problem, if they have a problem with that, then don't have both friggin' winners of each Royal Rumble go after SmackDown titles.
Yeah, they did it to themselves from the beginning. But
Yeah,
SmackDown's been the better show too. They deserve to have both main eventing WrestleMania.
Oh, by far.
Yeah, I wonder if this is going to be like a new thing from now on too, like having Mania two nights every year, just because you know you have
nights. I think it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah,
I think they're going to do it.
It's kind of like with the NFL adding the extra playoff game. You're not going back. And same thing with baseball.
It's instead of
like with baseball adding the wild card game.
The big multi-mans. Yeah. Oh, they're getting rid of the big multi-man. Like they would throw like 10 men into a Money in the Bank so that everybody would be on the card and everybody would get royalties.
And then that was replaced by the US or Intercontinental title match.
And the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
I was about to bring
Baron
that up.
Corbin one.
Like they can't be having that this year with COVID, right? The Battle Royals and stuff, having like 20, 30 guys in the ring. No,
I think they will.
You think they will?
I think they will.
Well,
I think they will, and they'll have the women's one, the Fabulous Moolah that they got rid of.
That's so funny. That's so funny. But there's a lot of
Fabulous
guys.
Moolah was
yeah, no, not a good person. Not a good person. No. But there's also a lot of guys that aren't going to be on the card at this point. It's looking like, because Daniel Bryan's getting a little lost in the mix unless that turns into a triple threat instead. Orton, Edge, Roman, and Bryan. Like, what's Bryan going to do at Mania though? Like, are they going to do an Intercontinental ladder match or something? Because there's Owens too there, and then there's Apollo Crews who they're building up now, and Big E's the IC champ. Who's he going to face out of all those guys?
I think Crews.
They're doing a match at Fastlane.
Never mind.
I don't know. Might be a rematch then at Mania, or Crews.
They can do like a triple threat or a fatal 4-way would be cool. What did they do at Mania last year? They did a fatal 4-way, didn't they? For the
Whether they figure it out, it'll be clumsy.
Was that the year before?
I don't remember much of last year's WrestleMania at all, just because it was like no
right
one there.
Right in the beginning of COVID. Important. It's very forgettable.
Yeah.
Going back to the original point of Lashley and McIntyre being like a potential main event, and it doesn't feel like those are two big names. They want to coronate Drew again. They did it last year. They want to do it again.
Well, they want it with people.
Who was the biggest? Exactly. But who was the biggest like heel on Raw that they could do? There really wasn't anybody. And then Lashley, don't get me wrong, Lashley is fantastic and he's gone on a tear and they have absolutely used him right. I just hate that he is getting his title He's going to hold it for a month and he's going to drop it right back to Drew, and then he's not going to touch it again. The best thing for Lashley would be a Roman Reigns type run where he's just running through everybody, and then a scrappy underdog beats him would be the best thing. But that's not what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And let's just get into a couple more feuds that are starting to brew up before WrestleMania. And one of them seems to be Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman.
I called this a few weeks ago, the last time I watched Raw live.
Justin did.
You called it, and I'm not happy about it.
I don't hate it because I don't like either of them, and it gets both of them into one match.
Out of the way.
Out
of the way. Gets him out of the way.
So Braun can't pull any like, oh, I'm gonna win the tag division battle royal for the 4th time, or you know what? I want the tag belts. Give me the tag belts. So
give me the new NXT Women's Tag titles. I want those too.
Yeah, he can't just step into he can't make it a triple threat with like Lashley, Braun, and Drew. So that's fine. Keep them apart. Do a super gimmicky match. I'm sure Braun's gonna power slam Shane off of like a ladder.
And I'm sure Shane's gonna hit like coast to coast through a table or something.
No holds barred, last man standing.
It's gonna be like a street fight or something. It's gonna be a specialty match.
Yeah, but did you guys get to catch the clips from Raw or no of that segment?
Yeah,
of Shane just talking, spitting nonsense out.
And I used to like Shane
the baby face?
Yes.
Is Shane the babe? He is.
I don't know.
That's what I thought.
I don't know.
Well, Braun's the heel since he threw Bray Wyatt into the water.
Oh, that was a thing too. Jeez, I forgot about that. Was the worst feud of the year according to what Dave Meltzer and company, which isn't even close to being worst feud of the year. There's a lot of other bad feuds that were in the company.
There's way worse.
Yeah, way worse. But let's finish through Monday Night Raw. Then we're gonna take a quick break. Then finish with NXT and SmackDown. Let's see, Drew and McIntyre, Drew and Sheamus. They're brawling. They're having a match. I think at Fastlane 2. They bumped heads with steel steps on their heads. It was a really good match. I just wanted to talk about it was a good match. And another guy who's gonna get lost in the mix come WrestleMania is Sheamus. He's been doing some really good stuff ever since about Survivor Series, putting on some really good matches, very underrated talent, and he's just gonna get lost in the mix again because they're not gonna have a battle royal I don't think they are, and they're not gonna have a US title thing with Riddle. I don't know. Riddle's not gonna verse Sheamus for the title. Maybe he will, but it's just another guy who's gonna get lost, and it's sad to say. But if we have no words, I can just continue until the end of Monday Night Raw.
I was just gonna say it's another thing. It's kind of sad of how Lashley's pulled into this. It's just a let's get Drew over thing. You can't I understand you need to get Drew over as a champion, but you don't need to just create this vortex around Drew that just everything in the show is just used to put Drew over.
Yeah. No, exactly. I get they're building their star, and they have done a phenomenal job of building Drew. But enough's enough. Sometimes enough's enough. That's why we start turning on people. He's built, and that's why
you don't need to keep building.
No.
They just keep having him win, but he doesn't. They're acting like he's an underdog. He's not an underdog. He held the belt for majority of the year.
Yeah, that's why we turn on the fan, on the people like Rollins and all that, and Roman when they built them up. They're built and they keep winning the titles over and over again. People say the fans are fickle, but it goes both ways. Honestly, it's not just on the fans. The fans are bored and they want to see someone new. They want to see Lashley win a title. Guarantee if that Lashley title victory took place in front of a full 18,000 people inside of any basketball arena, there would have been blowing the roof off of that place just because it's different, it's new, and it's exciting. But having to doing the same old stuff with Drew just gets old after a while, even though I do like Drew. But lastly, on Raw, they're continuing this whole Fiend and Orton thing without Fiend being on TV and Orton spitting up black food color.
You can only do this for so long. They started it way too soon. It's dragging on. It's boring. I've lost interest. I don't care.
That's exactly how I feel. Exactly how I feel. But you can just condense
Yep.
it into 5 seconds instead of me dragging it on for another 10 minutes. So
It's like the
thank you.
Jimmy Woo meme. It's like that's an oversimplification, but
Oh,
yes.
yes, yeah, like exactly what you said. Like they started this.
They kept him off way too long. They've
Since
kept Fiend off
December.
way too
Since
long.
end of December.
Yeah.
Yeah, when was the fire match?
I think end of December. I'm pretty sure.
TLC 21st, the 21st or something,
It's
21st or 23rd.
That's 4 months almost.
And he's
Yeah.
one of the hottest. That's
He's
why
been-
Raw sucks
yeah.
too. He's not around.
It'll be 4.5 months basically by the time he comes back at Mania.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
you're
Well,
right.
and let's not forget the work that Randy was doing before all of this. Randy was at the absolute top of his game for so long. Him and Drew were carrying Raw. It got a little stale towards the end, but the Drew Randy matches in the feud were very good at first. Randy, in his, reinvigorated legend killer gimmick again, was absolutely carrying Raw. And then when he wasn't, you had the Fiend to look forward to. And now that they've put them together and taken the Fiend off and put Randy in this spitting up black goo all the time is pretty much now his character. It's not good. It's made Raw a lot worse.
And it was already bad to begin with, but that does it for this little bit. We're going to come back quickly after this quick little break, talk NXT and SmackDown, so stay tuned. Don't click out of the video yet. We still have more. All right, we're back here in the Sports Department podcast talking some NXT Wednesday night, the best night of the week for wrestling. And we're going to talk about William Regal's announcements. He had a couple of announcements this week. There were scheduled to be 2. And the main rumor that was going around was that NXT was going to be moving to Tuesday nights. And honestly, it didn't happen. I was kind of shocked that didn't happen. I really thought that was going to be one of his announcements. That's a smart move, if you ask me, moving to Tuesday nights, but that's nothing to talk about because that didn't happen. But his first announcement was that there will be an NXT takeover that will be 2 nights during WrestleMania week, Tuesday night and Wednesday night, which will be NXT takeover Stand and Deliver. How do we feel about a 2-night takeover?
Is the first night stand and the second night deliver?
They're just trying.
It's a great question.
They're just trying to pair it with WrestleMania, which is fine. And I wonder though, since it's on Tuesday, right?
Yes.
I wonder if they use that then as a transition to post Mania. They go to Tuesday.
Well, what they're doing, could be, but what they're doing is the Tuesday night one is on the USA Network, and the Wednesday one is only on Peacock.
Oh God, of course it is.
What do you mean? Of course, you get it for free.
Yeah, we have Peacock, so it doesn't matter. But see, notice how the USA one's on Tuesday though. So that I wonder if that's how they're going to transition.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Yeah,
it could be the transition, but they've been building up a lot of different feuds recently, and they built up a kind of title feuds too. And speaking of titles, his second announcement was that NXT is getting their own women's tag team championships. I like this and I don't like this at the exact same time. I'll start going my opinion on this, and I'll just say that they have a lot of women in that NXT. A lot of them that could be showcased a lot more than they already are. The best women's division in all of wrestling combined, better than Raw, SmackDown, Impact, AEW, whatever you want to call it. AEW is on the rise, though. I will give them that. Their division has gotten better, but they have the best women's division. They get tag team titles. That's great. I guess Vince was afraid, even though he doesn't use the titles much on the main roster, to lose those titles down to NXT. Like, I don't like having 2 sets of women's titles. That ruins the main titles because they have to defend them on all 3 brands when you have the main titles. Now it's just basically Raw and SmackDown.
It's almost their way of
think they got tired of trying. Like, they clearly never wanted to do NXT matches for them. They never did them.
The way I think it's their way of sort of reestablishing as, you got NXT's on the main cable networks, but it's still developmental, so you're getting your own belts that are a notch below the main card belts.
And they've done that numerous times. Like Clark liked to say NXT was the main roster, and I don't think they don't consider it main roster. They really don't.
No,
the NXT people when they got the TV deal, yeah, the NXT people write it like it's better than the main roster, but it's very much still they treat it like it is developmental. I think it kind of hurts the women's division in the general of WWE because now there's even more on the main roster that are going to be pushed together because like you need, if you made new belts for NXT, you obviously still want to do something with these women's tag titles on the main roster. So are they just going to start, putting like they did with the Elimination Chamber when they first started? They just had like 4 teams in there that weren't actual teams.
Random teams.
So
yeah, but the way I like what they're doing with the teams so far in NXT is that Dakota and Raquel have been a team for a while. Shotzi and Ember kind of formed during the women's Dusty, so that's sort of a team now together too. Indy and Candice are a good team. And then you have Casey and Kaden Carter. You have those two. So you have 4 teams right there, and they're bound to build a different team. I think the Robert Stone brand is a team they can start building up. There's a couple other just like new signees too, like some Stark lady I think they brought in. So they have a couple teams do that. But back to the women's tag team titles. So Regal said that the winners of the Women's SD Cup that he said are getting the titles. So that's Dakota and Raquel. So they get the titles, and then Ember and what's I just said her name? Shotzi.
I think it's her birthday today.
Happy birthday, Shotzi. Challenged them for the titles later in the night. And we'll get to that right now. And they lost the titles in about less than an hour of holding them, Dakota and Raquel. But for good reason, probably. But what should they have just not given Dakota and Raquel the titles and just had a match for them in general?
I mean, yeah. Or I guess this gives them the reason to get a rematch, but because like they won it and then they lost them, so they're entitled to a rematch.
And they can formally win them.
I guess.
Yeah. It also gives them the title of being first, no matter what. That hey, we were the first champions, even though we held it for
champions. Yeah.
I'm just glad the belts exist and they can focus on themselves rather than have to bring down Nia and Baszler or whoever wins them eventually and all that crap.
The girls.
Ugh, they're terrible.
But the real reason why they probably did this is because Io Shirai retained her title on NXT against Toni Storm. Then after it, they cut to a little backstage thing that looks like they're finally setting up Raquel and Io, which is probably going to be one of the matches at NXT TakeOver. We've been calling this, I feel like, for months now, and finally they're going through with the plan and seeing the star potential in Raquel after beating Rhea Ripley and obviously being the first women's tag team title holders in NXT. And it looks like they're finally running with this. So I'm all for it. I'm all for a Raquel run if that's what it comes to.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like it.
You like it? Perfect.
Yeah, I like it. It's good.
Short and sweet, right to the end. Balor also.
Now, we've said on this multiple times. We all love Raquel. She's a star.
She's a star. She's a star. We love her. Getting more to the title matches on NXT, Balor retaining against Adam Cole in a takeover worthy match. Really good, close, near falls, and all that stuff. But the real stuff happened at the end and after the match, where Kyle O'Reilly kind of returned after his little injury scare and looking in this like biker outfit type thing, and basically kind of cost Adam Cole the match due to distraction, and then ripped off the undisputed armband off of Adam Cole, officially ending the era. I feel like did they do this too soon? Feeling like Kyle O'Reilly coming back? Should they have waited like till a takeover match? Or
I would have had him come out at takeover, and just kind of either screw.
I would have had him come back like the week before,
and
then set up the takeover match. Yeah,
because
now there's too much downtime.
He has a lot of downtime, exactly, and that's probably a match of takeover. O'Reilly and Cole probably gonna maybe steal the whole WrestleMania week. That match right there. Just the chemistry they have together and how talented they are. But the pieces are starting to finally fit now. And we kind of see their vision of what they're doing. And also at the end of NXT, Karrion Kross appeared behind Finn Balor. And that seems like the route they're going with there. Kross, who never lost his title because he had to relinquish it due to injury. So we kind of have like our separate paths of where we're going for TakeOver and a lot of different feuds going on, which is why it's probably 2 nights.
Yeah. It's kind of like WrestleMania is doing it just to pad the capacity, but they are doing it because they had plenty of people to fill in 2 cards.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I'm pretty sure from like Monday through Sunday, there's some sort of wrestling on television somewhere.
Yeah.
Monday, you got Raw. Tuesday, Wednesday, TakeOver.
Thursday?
Thursday,
The Hall of Fame.
Friday, SmackDown. Saturday,
Oh,
Sunday.
Molly Holly's going to the Hall of Fame. Didn't talk about that one.
I did not talk about that one.
Yeah, she was the first.
Same reason why Clark didn't like Captain Marvel.
I loved Captain Marvel. Holy crap. I just didn't like her in Endgame. She's a pain in the butt in Endgame. She shows up in the beginning in Endgame, says, "Oh, I have to go protect the universe," and we don't see a glimpse of her until the end. Like,
Spoilers.
Probably getting like a martini at the bar down in South Beach or something. We don't know what she was doing all that time. There were no cameras.
Spoilers, Clark. Spoilers.
It came out 2 years ago. Endgame came out 2 years ago. That's more than enough.
No, that's cool. That's the Hall of Fame class. Wonder who else will go in as the headliner. Definitely won't be Christian or Big Show.
Won't be Christian or Big Show, but Savio Vega is apparently appearing on the bump this week, so he might be the next one.
He'll probably go in then.
So, but congrats to Molly Holly. I forgot to put that on the rundown. I think I meant to put that on too. But congrats to Molly Holly, and yeah, that's awesome. That was a really cool moment with Hurricane and Mighty Molly and all that stuff on the bump.
Hurricane started crying.
I know.
He started losing it. He was like more he was more emotional than she was.
Yeah, I kind of feel like she fake cried in a way just to make it feel like
yeah,
like it didn't look like
a bigger
she was
deal.
like, oh my god, and it was like after it. But no, that's
like, why don't
cool.
you just wipe away? There was no tear.
Yeah, but no, she was very underrated during her day. Very pioneer
for her time.
Fun fact about Molly Holly: she had to pitch to Vince to shave her head to get a women's match at Mania.
That's so sad.
They weren't gonna do it, and then Molly said, "I will put my belt on the line and my hair, and you can shave my head. Please just get me on Mania." And Vince was like, "Fine, we'll do it."
Wow. Yeah. No.
Yeah, she herself
sad.
pitched it.
Yeah. No.
How far we've come.
Yeah.
Look how far we've come.
Might have a second women's main event at WrestleMania, which we all hope so. But let's get into Friday Night SmackDown now. And like I said, again, we didn't have a podcast last week, so we couldn't talk about the new Apollo Crews embracing his Nigerian roots. I'm not one to really talk about this, but as a white male, I kind of feel like it's a little bit racist to me. It's a little borderline racist. I don't know how the Black community feels about this. I don't know how Nigerian people feel about this, but it's very borderline racist to me because Apollo Crews in real life does not speak with an accent like that. Very similar to how Black Panther speaks with an accent. He does not speak with an accent, but he's doing it and he's embracing it and all that stuff. And he has like a big like swordish type knife thing that he carries with him with his bodyguards and stuff. Is this a little borderline racist, or how are you feeling about this?
I mean,
it's not Attitude Era.
If it kind of is.
If it was in the Attitude Era,
it's not Attitude Era, but
I mean, if it propels him to an intercontinental title or a world title, hey, good for him. That's cool. I like the idea of pushing him and giving him a character in general, because he was just all Mr. Smiley guy who can do flips and stuff, basically like Ricochet. But I like the idea of giving him a character. But was the accent necessary? And was all like the gear is cool, but was like the big sword knifey thingy necessary and all that?
I mean, Drew has a sword also.
That's his heritage. That's like he's from Scotland. He was born in Scotland and all that stuff. Apollo's born in like Los Angeles.
Yeah, Apollo was born in Sacramento.
It's a little early to tell. Just kind of see where it goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Vince doesn't have a great track record with these kinds of things.
That's the thing. Like they made Kofi fake
Hakeem the African Dream,
or situational awareness.
God, Hakeem the African Dream. Yeah, Kofi had his fake Jamaican accent, but at the time we didn't know it was fake too. But
that's true.
Interesting stuff with Apollo Crews. I hope it works out for him. I really do. He's very talented, a good guy all around, family man. So I hope that works out for him. But
at least they're giving him some character. He's not the guy that just smiles a lot.
That's the point. He has a character now. But basically with SmackDown though, they've just kind of been doing the same feuds and not much to it. Like Rude and Dolph with the Street Profits, Bianca and Sasha are challenging for the women's tag titles. What wasn't the strongest episode of SmackDown, if you ask me. It was just kind of rehashing.
Yeah, it was bound to happen.
Dolph a thing.
The dirty dogs, man. They're dirty.
Justin, tell me how you feel about the Rude and Dolph Ziggler tag team.
I don't like Dolph.
I don't care about. I really don't care about Dolph. It doesn't matter. And Bobby Roode is just another
glorious.
He's another number at this point. Like, he was cool when he came over, but they haven't done shit with him basically. Another
NXT champion.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. It's another NXT guy.
They said this is the embodiment of Triple H. Bobby Roode is the embodiment of Triple H.
Aren't they like the same age almost?
And then they moved him to the main roster, and he didn't do anything.
No, remember Rude and Gable were a tag team?
Oh,
that was a thing.
Oh,
look at Chad Gable. I kind of like this tag team even now. They kind of just like throw him with tag team, but him and Otis kind of like the wrestling background. They both have like the amateur wrestling background and all that stuff, and like them being heels, like kind of like Jesse and Festus, but like times like 5. I kind of mess with it. I like that a lot. I'd like to see him get a tag team title run there. But like
Gable's good.
Yeah.
Gable's really good. If you put Gable in NXT, like I'm sorry, I think he's on the same level as like an Adam Cole and like a Kyle O'Reilly. Like, he can put on those matches, I think. I think he's capable.
Yeah.
He's just short. So they don't like him.
I think he's capable. I think he has the wrestling skills. I just don't think obviously, well, that's not his fault. He doesn't have the character for any of that. A Kurt Angle type character would be great for him.
He should have been Angle's son.
Jason Jordan.
Everybody wanted him to be Angle's son. He did Angle's moves.
Yeah.
He did them.
Yeah.
And then they were like, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Jordan.
Jason Jordan was his son. I miss Jason Jordan. He's very talented too. But they're just doing the same feuds and stuff on SmackDown.
I guess special. It is. You could tell Jordan's Angle's son because they both have a broken freaking neck.
Gee, lowballing him right there.
It's hereditary.
Do you think they probably wouldn't, because he is like a backstage producer and everything?
Will he break his neck?
But if he could ever get cleared, do you think he would go to AEW?
No, they've done so much for him.
WWE's never gonna do it.
At his low point, right. Jason Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
like they gave him that job of being a producer or whatever. Like same with like Tyson Kidd, I feel like too. Like they've done so much for those guys after they lost their profession that they couldn't do anymore because of injuries and stuff. So I think they're just too grateful to go anywhere else. I really do. I hope they're good people deep down like that wouldn't turn their back on the company that gave them like a second chance in a way like that. But last thing with SmackDown, then we're gonna wrap this up. There's supposed to be a contract signing for Bryan and Roman. It went down. You know how contract signings always end in WWE. It ends in a big brawl, and it
no one goes to the table anymore.
No, I know, right?
Because they put the stupid.
It's because that
table.
became too predictable, so they had to get rid of that.
They just flip
but then
it over.
One day they'll add it back.
They flip it or throw it out the ring. Yeah.
Go through the metal table.
Ooh, look at you getting all hardcore. But basically, out of all this, it wound up saying that Edge is going to fight on SmackDown next week versus Jey Uso. Winner is the special enforcer, whatever that means, at Fastlane for Bryan and Roman's match. It's just cool to see Edge wrestle on SmackDown. That's all I got out of this for the most part, because he hasn't wrestled on SmackDown since 2011 when he retired.
This is a good way of pushing the WrestleMania feud forward without having them go at each other directly.
Yeah. And also it's a good warm-up match for Edge, I was thinking too, because he hasn't stepped in the ring in an actual physical televised match or anything since the Rumble. And then I know he lasted an hour or so in the Rumble, but like that was.
But it's not the same.
He's also only had essentially then 3 matches in like 10 years.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're 100% right. He had his retirement match.
And two of them are with Randy, who's one of the safest workers of all time.
Exactly.
Because literally wasn't it the last man standing match? And then it was the greatest wrestling match. And then nothing.
Nothing. Got hurt.
And then the Rumble.
And before all that, his last one was with Alberto Del Rio in his retirement match. Thank God that didn't retire him permanently. Thank God
it was at least a good way to go out. He retained his belt at Mania and then retired. Yeah. That was kind of cool. It was sad that like it came out of nowhere.
And Jesse, I know you sent this in the group chat earlier. You're seeing all the edits online of the World Heavyweight title being on like Roman Reigns and stuff.
Gotta bring that back.
If Edge wins at Mania, does he bring back the title he never lost?
No.
No.
I'd like
I don't
it
think
though.
there's any
If
chance.
they-
I would love it.
If they updated it a little bit, that'd be nice.
Just
but-
I don't even think they need to update it. I think that belt is so
It's beautiful.
pretty.
Yeah,
It's just so nice.
I have it on like my TV stand, that belt. Like when I was younger, I got
Yeah.
that belt. I have it right there. And just all they have to do is change the logo up top from the scratch logo to the new clean cut one. And that's it. That's all they got to do. Literally, that's all they got to do. I think that'd be perfect because it's like Edge actually gets the belt he didn't lose back then. I think that'd be perfect for the first.
I think there's not enough WWE signage on it is the problem for them. You can't look at that and immediately think
what they could do is
WWE.
what you could do is then put the side plates where you can put the little stupid things on it.
Yeah,
I totally agree, but I think they want WWE
front
on
and center.
the championship.
I agree.
Like for the big one, they want it as the biggest thing.
Well, that's why you
They
could
let
update it.
Cena did his stupid belt because it would spin and it had. I love that belt. It was
so do
so
I.
bad, but God, I love it.
Me too. But like that's
Like our
smart.
that was like our
That was
championship
for so long.
It was our championship growing up. That one in the world heavyweight, like the spinner and world
because we
heavyweight.
didn't have the Winged Eagle one, the
Too young
Attitude
for that.
Era one.
No, I was too young also for the undisputed one. Just missed that one by a couple
yeah.
The
years.
undisputed one does look good. The one before that, the Austin Triple H undisputed one, is
Fantastic.
ugly.
I like that
No,
one.
I think it's ugly. The blue one,
I like that one.
oh, I think it's terrible.
I have to
think
see a
it's
picture because I don't know off the
god-awful.
top of my head what it looks like.
It's
So
the
send me a
Attitude Era.
picture.
It's the Attitude Era belt.
The circle one.
Yeah.
I like the regular winged eagle one better. Like the
Yeah.
regular eagle one from like a couple years before. I don't mind
the
it.
Shawn
It's-
Michaels one.
Yes, I like the Shawn Michaels one. It's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite, but it's okay. But we're off track here. And that does it for this episode of the Wrestling Recap Sports Heartland podcast. Thank you guys all for listening so much to this episode. Us three appreciate it. Joe and Steve for one on this episode appreciate it as well. Make sure you guys follow us on our social medias on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Sports Depth Pod. That's Sports DEPT Pod. Make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. I know we still have a couple more baseball podcasts to do before the season starts, breaking down each division. We have the Wests we have to do still, the West and the East.
Yeah, we'll
still.
get there. We got a few weeks. We got a few weeks.
Basketball one's coming really, really soon. Free agency probably, because free agency officially starts Wednesday at noonish or a little after noon. So that's exciting too. But all those podcasts are coming. Maybe hockey. I don't really care. Maybe hockey. But Fast Lane's next week. So predictions and breakdowns. So that's coming. So stay tuned to all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.